Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 401, The Lost Key. Intermediate. It was a rainy afternoon in London, and Emma sat by the window of her small flat, watching the drops slide down the glass. She was 25 years old, a graphic designer who worked from home, and she loved the quiet rhythm of the city. But today, something felt off. She couldn't shake the feeling that she'd forgotten something important. She sipped her tea and stared at the grey sky, trying to figure it out. Suddenly, it hit her. The key! She'd lost the key to her desk drawer, the one where she kept her most important things, her passport, some cash, and a little notebook full of ideas for her next project. Emma jumped up, spilling a bit of tea on the table, and began searching her flat. She checked her coat pockets, her bag, even under the sofa. Nothing. Her heart started to race. That key was tiny but special, with a little red dot painted on it so she wouldn't lose it. Yet here she was, with no idea where it had gone. Emma took a deep breath and decided to retrace her steps. She'd been out in the morning, walking to the corner shop to buy milk. Maybe she dropped it then. She grabbed her umbrella, pulled on her boots and stepped outside into the drizzle. The street was busy with people hurrying under their umbrellas, and the sound of cars splashing through puddles filled the air. Emma kept her eyes on the ground, scanning the wet pavement for a glint of metal. She walked past the red telephone box on the corner, then the little cafe where she sometimes stopped for a coffee. No sign of the key. By the time she reached the shop, her hope was fading. She pushed open the door and the bell jingled above her head. Mr. Patel, the shopkeeper, looked up from his newspaper and smiled. "Hello, Emma. Back already?" he said in his warm, familiar voice. "Hi, Mr. Patel," she replied, shaking the rain off her umbrella. "I think I lost a key this morning. It's small with a red dot on it. Did anyone hand it in?" Mr. Patel frowned and shook his head. "No, sorry, love. Nothing like that today. Did you drop it in here?" "I don't think so," Emma said, "but I'm not sure. I was in a rush." "Well, let's have a look," he said, coming out from behind the counter. Together they checked the aisles, peering under shelves and between packets of biscuits. Still nothing. Emma thanked him and stepped back outside, feeling a bit defeated. As she walked home, she thought about what to do next. The drawer was locked tight and she didn't have a spare key. She could call a locksmith, but that would cost money she didn't really have. Or she could try to break it open herself, though that might ruin the desk she'd saved up to buy. Her mind spun with options, none of them good. Back at her flat, Emma hung up her wet coat and made another cup of tea. She sat down and stared at the locked drawer. Then, out of nowhere, she remembered something. Yesterday she'd been working late, scribbling ideas in her notebook. She'd locked it away as usual, but then her friend Sarah had called. They talked for ages and Emma had paced around the flat, distracted. Maybe she hadn't put the key back in its usual spot. She stood up and went to the kitchen. There, on the counter next to the kettle, was a tiny key with a red dot. Emma laughed out loud, a mix of relief and embarrassment washing over her. She'd been so caught up in her panic that she hadn't even thought to check the most obvious place. She picked up the key and unlocked the drawer. Everything was still there. Her passport, the cash, the notebook. She pulled out the notebook and flipped through it, smiling at her messy handwriting. Losing the key had been a hassle, but maybe it was a reminder to slow down and pay attention. Emma sat back by the window, the rain still falling outside. The city carried on, busy and loud, but inside her flat she felt calm. She sipped her tea and started to sketch, the lost key already turning into a story in her mind. A story she'd tell Sarah later, with a laugh and a shake of her head. Vocabulary notes. Retrace, verb. Definition. To go back over something, usually to find something lost or to remember what happened. Example, Emma took a deep breath and decided to retrace her steps. Explanation, Emma decided to walk the same path she had taken earlier that day to look for her lost key. Similar words, revisit. She revisited the shop to ask about her key. To go back to a place. Recall, she tried to recall where she last saw the key. To remember something. Backtrack, she backtracked to the cafe hoping to find it. To return along the same route. Glint, noun verb. Definition, a small flash of light, especially from something shiny, noun, or to shine with a small flash of light, verb. Example, Emma kept her eyes on the ground, scanning the wet pavement for a glint of metal. Explanation, Emma was looking for a tiny sparkle or reflection from the key on the wet ground. Similar words, gleam. The key had a gleam in the sunlight, a soft, steady shine. Sparkle, her eyes sparkled with excitement when she found it. A bright, lively shine. Shimmer, the wet pavement shimmered under the streetlights. A faint, wavering shine. Drizzle, noun verb. Definition, light rain falling in very small drops, noun, or to rain lightly, verb. Example, she grabbed her umbrella, pulled on her boots and stepped outside into the drizzle. Explanation, the weather was rainy, but it was only a light rain, not a heavy storm. Similar words, shower, a quick shower of rain wet the streets. A short burst of rain. Mist, the mist made everything look blurry. Very fine water droplets in the air. Downpour, she was glad it wasn't a downpour. A heavy, sudden rain, opposite in intensity. Defeated, adjective. Definition, feeling like you've lost or failed, often with a sense of disappointment or sadness. Example, back outside feeling a bit defeated. Explanation, Emma felt discouraged after not finding the key at the shop. Similar words, discouraged. She felt discouraged after searching all day. Lacking hope or confidence. Hopeless, she began to feel hopeless about the key. Feeling there's no chance of success. Beaten, he looked beaten after losing the game. Similar to defeated, often after a struggle. Hassle, noun. Definition, something that causes trouble, annoyance, or inconvenience. Example, losing the key had been a hassle, but maybe it was a reminder to slow down. Explanation, finding the key was annoying and took effort, but it taught Emma a lesson. Similar words, bother. It was a bother to search the whole flat. Something mildly annoying. Inconvenience. The lost key was an inconvenience. Something that disrupts ease or comfort. Trouble. She didn't want the trouble of calling a locksmith. Difficulty or effort required. Scribbling, noun verb, present participle. Definition, writing or drawing something quickly and carelessly, noun, or the act of doing so, verb. Example, yesterday she'd been working late, scribbling ideas in her notebook. Explanation, Emma wrote her ideas in a fast, messy way because she was inspired or in a hurry. Similar words, jotting. She was jotting down notes during the call, writing briefly and quickly. Sketching. She started sketching a picture of the key, drawing quickly, often roughly. Doodling. He was doodling on the paper while thinking, drawing aimlessly, often playfully. Story written by Grok 3 AI. Image created by Grok 3 AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.